Hey everyone, welcome to your restorative practice. So if you were with me on Tuesday, this next 4 weeks, we're going to focus on a specific body part, a specific region of the body, I should say, actually, which is the hips. I just want to make sure 1 second, I want to make sure my mic is working. Okay, yes, it is. Never can be too sure with technology. All right, so make sure you have lots and lots of props, blankets, pillows, maybe some wall space would be nice. Give us the option for legs up the wall. We're going to start out seated, do just a little bit of prep work for our hips. And when I say hips, I think a lot of us think of like external rotation. You think about pigeon pose, you might think about reclined bound angle, the ability to quote unquote open the hips. But it's a ball and socket joint, so it has the ability to move basically around in a circle, 360 degrees. So we'll look at all of that range of motion. That will include the compartment of the hip flexor, lateral flexion, backward extension, forward folding, okay? So when I say hip work, that's what I mean. All right, let's sit up nice and tall. I recommend sitting on something. I'm sitting on my little cushion. You can sit on pillows, stacks of blankets, a chair, just sit however you're comfortable so you can grow nice and tall. Breathing in and out through the nose, maybe closing the eyes or lowering the gaze. And then see if you can press your back body a little bit more behind you, like press your head back, press your shoulders back. Get a little bit taller through the spine. We'll just have a breath practice called Samavriti, and that means equal fluctuation. Sama means same, Vriti means fluctuation. So we're equalizing inhale and exhale breath. I'm going to give us a count of 5 inhale, 5 exhale. And if I'm going too fast, you count your own breath. Likewise, if I'm going too slow, you count your own breath, okay? All right, so empty all the air out of the lungs. Begin to breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try it on your own, 2 rounds of breath. Let's let go of that counting. We'll just do a little bit of a twist. So if you're seated cross-legged, notice which leg is in front, okay? So I have my right shin in front of my left. I'm going to rotate to my left. And so I'm not mirroring you. I'm just telling you which leg is which. So right foot is forward. I'm rotating to my left. If your left foot is forward, rotate to your right. All right? So I want you to think about, my back's a little sore. I sound like an old lady. So let's sit up nice and tall. Whatever fingertips are behind you are kind of like a little kickstand. Sit up nice and tall first. Big breath in. Think about first extension. And then when you exhale, a little bit more rotation. Don't really pull on your body so much as just lean into your rotation a little bit more. Let's take one more breath there. All right, let's leave our right hand where it is and then cross your left elbow in front of your right elbow. So your elbows are crossed, you're holding on to opposite thighs. Round the chin into the chest. Press your back body to the space behind you. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Okay, so now left hand stays where it is. Left hand to outer right thigh. You know what? Actually, unwind your arms for a second. If you're seated cross-legged, like I am, okay, now I'm going to switch out my legs. So my left shin is in front of my right shin. Left shin is in front of right shin. Or ankles, or, it doesn't have to be shin and shin. Just switch out your feet. Let's rotate to the right hip. Right fingertips behind you. Left hand to outer right thigh. Think about that length of the spine first. Get nice and tall. And then find a little bit more rotation. And just when I say that, I mean ease into this. Can you soften into your rotation? Inhale, get tall, find that length of the spine. Exhale, soften into your rotation. Okay, so left hand's going to stay where it is. Right arm's going to cross in front of the elbow to the opposite thigh. Round the chin into the chest. Pause here, breathe into your back. So the reason we're doing this little prep work is when it comes to hip work, sometimes, especially in a forward fold type of hip opening, the low back, the QL muscles, quadratus lumbarum, can inhibit that range of motion. So we want to make sure that we're hitting those adjacent body parts to kind of prep the body for what's to come. All right. So we're going to take a seated forward fold. Option number 1, seated forward fold. I want you to be honest with yourself and think about what kind of props do you need. That might be that you need some elevation underneath the sits bones. I always find it helpful in my body to take a folded blanket underneath my sits bones. And then if I'm going to extend my legs forward, I play with that distance between my legs. Sometimes it's easier for folks to take their feet wider. Sometimes it's easier for folks to take their feet together. You're going to feel this in different places in your body depending on how you arrange your feet. Okay. And then from here, we're going to build props. This is why I love this cushion, because it's so malleable. Pillows can do the same thing, but I can really hug this up to my low belly so that when I soften forward into my fold, my belly's supported. And I can take more props underneath my elbows, my forearms, my forehead to hang out here. So really truly customize this for yourself. Get comfortable in your own body. Second option for this would be legs up the wall. Basically, your body's in the same shape, but you're not putting so much pressure on the spine to come into a forward fold. You're still getting that action of forward flexion. That's what the hips are doing right now, forward flexion. All right. We have about 3 minutes here. If there's a lot of resistance in the neck and the shoulders, it can be nice to kind of sway the head side to side, take a few semicircles with the head and the neck. Just to the best of your ability, can you relax your jaw? Soften the muscles of your face. Relax the muscles of the neck. What I think is interesting about hip work is that, especially in forward folds, this might feel like I'm not doing hip work. Yeah, you are actually. Because like we talked about, the hip is a ball and socket joint. And the whole hip compartment has many sides to it. Right now, you're just working with the back side of it. So if you feel this a lot around the erector spinae muscles, those are the muscles that line up around the spine, that's just where your tissues are tightest. When those muscles start to relax, you might start to feel this deeper in the low back. When those muscles start to relax, you might feel this deeper in your hips. And then maybe eventually you start to feel this in the glutes and the hamstrings. We're just kind of tracing that line of awareness of sensation through the body as you hold here. Have about 1 more minute in this shape. Let's take our last 2 breaths in this shape. And then we'll start to unwind the spine if we're in our seated forward fold. Sit up and take a moment, pause here at the top of your seat. Just breathe in, breathe out. So now we're going to do 2 different things with the legs. Variation of our pigeon pose. This is 90-90 stretch. So right shin is going to come forward, parallel with the top edge of your mat. The right shin comes forward, parallel with the top edge of your mat. That left knee is going to go back behind you. So I'm trying to make 2 90-degree angle shapes with my legs. And if this left hip is feeling like it's hindering you here, more height underneath your right hip. More height underneath your right hip. All right. Then the next progression in this shape is to fold forward over your right shin and front knee. So all the body weight's on that right hip as you come forward into your fold. I love this pose as an alternative to pigeon, where we think we have to get that back leg straight. And for some of us, that means we put a lot of unnecessary pressure in our knee joint. And so this is a nice way to bypass the joints and work really deeply into the muscle tissue. About 3 minutes here. You know, as usual, I always encourage you to use props underneath your body if you're feeling like your body doesn't want to fold forward that far. You build a little support system underneath you. So that might mean you bring a stool underneath the forearms. You might be facing a couch and setting up your legs facing the couch. You can just fold your hands onto your couch cushions. So bring the floor up to meet you by way of using your props. If there's any takeaway from this restorative practice, I hope that is it. I hope that you start to learn how to support your body with the use of your props. You start to get anxious in a longer hold, like the mind starts to really churn and thoughts start to come up, emotions start to come up. I just want you to know that this is very, very normal. I would wonder if you can ask yourself, start to get curious about your thoughts, your sensation, whatever it is that's coming up, and ask yourself if it's something that's even true. What kind of story are you telling yourself right now? Is it even true? Whose voice is it? Is that your voice? Where did you get that message? Who told you that story? It's almost like you're trying to create separation between the mind and the current experience. All right, so let's walk back up to the hands. Deep breath in here at the top. We're just going to simply switch out our legs. So I'm going to bring my left shin forward, roll all the way onto my left hip, left shin forward. It's parallel with the top edge of the mat. And then I'm going to pull my right knee behind me. I'm going to try to make that same 90 degree angle shape with the back leg. I gather my props underneath my chest, my belly. Especially at home with pillows, you can kind of get really creative with like where you're going to tuck things and like make spaces spaces that might have been empty before, in a traditional yoga class. You can just kind of tuck little pillows and folded blankets into all those little empty spaces between you and the floor. So settling in here for 3 minutes, forward fold over that left shin and knee. Do your best to relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw, your neck. Deepen your breath. Nice slow inhale, exhale through the nose. We have about a minute left in this pose. Now's a good time to check in with the thoughts if you haven't done so already, in that same way of creating space between your present moment experience and your thoughts. So another way to do this is to kind of envision that these thought patterns that come up, these storylines that we tell ourselves, are like clouds passing by in the sky. So you could visualize that. You could visualize this recurring thought pattern. Whatever story you're telling is like one of those thought clouds. See it in the sky. Visualize this thought cloud taking shape in the sky. And you know how when you're looking at the sky, you notice the shapes of the clouds. And if you look long enough and you get still enough, you can see the movement of the clouds. You can see how they change shapes. And so this speaks to the impermanence of life. That the only constant is ever really change. The paradox of that. All right, let's press into our hands. We'll lift up. Deep breath in at the top. And then we'll swing both legs forward. Swinging both legs forward, we're going to come all the way onto our back. We're going to want our props again close by. We're going to work on hip extension now. So we did a lot of forward flexion. Now we're going to work on hip extension. But first, when you come down to your back, just go ahead, hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little rock side to side. Choose a prop. You're going to slide that underneath your pelvis. So press into your feet, lift your hips up, slide that prop underneath your pelvis. I'm using my nice little Zazen pillow. So experiment with the height of this. You want a little bit of sensation on the back of the pelvis. You want the width of your pelvis to feel supported. So I like to kind of test that out by rocking my knees side to side. And then we'll either stay here. You can pause here with the feet wide on your mat, knees knocking in. Or you can extend your legs forward. Now, this is a deep, deep, deep hip extension shape. And again, just like anything, there's bound to be residual sensation wherever tissues are tightest. So for some of you, you're going to feel this first in your low back. So just I encourage you to take stock of where you're feeling, what you're feeling. Deepen your breath. Start to notice the tone or the quality to the sensation and the experience you're having right now. Do you experience it as, painful or discomfort? What kind of discomfort? What can you do to support yourself to find stillness? So if you ever notice that sometimes it takes me a while to settle into a restorative shape because I'm just making these little micro adjustments, and that's always okay. Eventually, you'll find that place where you can settle in and become still. All that to say is I hope that another takeaway from this practice is that you let yourself be a little bit more free flowing. You don't have to be so rigid in your body, in your movement. It's always okay to explore what you need and make those little micro adjustments based on your needs. We have about 3 more breaths here. If you did extend your legs, we'll start to bend the knees one at a time, plant those feet. Take a moment there in that place of the knees bent. Maybe rock the knees side to side. You can come into, we're going to take a final twist. It'll be a little bit shorter of a hold, but you can come into your twist from here with the support underneath the pelvis if it's not too high and if it supports your whole pelvis. So first we'll shift the hips off. Sorry, we'll shift the knees off to the left. And so that prop underneath your pelvis that's lifting you up, it can create a really big twist sensation. So if it's too much, just give yourself permission to move that prop out of the way. Take about 3 breaths here. Slow, deep breaths. And then we'll start to come back through center. Adjust those hips so that they're back in the center of the mat. And then again, you're going to turn your knees off to the right side. So you're going to roll all the way onto your right hip with or without that prop underneath them. See if you can stay grounded through your left shoulder, broad across the chest. Deep belly breaths. So still this is hip work because now we're working with a little bit of lateral hip, that's the outside border, little bit of QL muscle, compartment of the low back that connects to the back of the pelvis, a little bit of glute. All of that forms the base of the outer and back side of the hips. Couple more breaths here. Start to unwind. We'll come back through center, adjusting the hips once more in line with the shoulders, center of your mat. If you still have that prop underneath your pelvis, now would be the time to get it out of the way. If there's any last adjustment you need to make in your body before your final Shavasana, go ahead and do it. And then when you're ready, you can just stretch out, settle in. We'll just take a minute here in our final rest, a minute of silence, following the breath in and out through the nose, relaxing the body. Just start to reawaken through your fingertips and your toes. Breathe in. You can stretch your arms all the way overhead. We'll exhale, roll off to a side. Press your way to an upright seat. We'll just take a moment briefly to close out our practice. Sitting up nice and tall if you're able to on a prop. Hands together at the heart. Breathing in and out through the nose. And then maybe taking a moment to bow your chin into your chest. Honoring your practice with reverence and gratitude. May you remember that you will always be okay. Find a light that guides you and keeps you safe. Have hope, help, and happiness along the way. Namaste, yogis. I really hope you enjoyed your practice. We'll continue on our range of motion with our hip journey for the next about 3 weeks in both our vinyasa and our restorative practices. So I'd hope you're enjoying that and feeling real good in your bodies. All right, take care of yourselves.